Hello everyone, I Venkatesh Thade welcome you all on behalf of ISRI Ahmedabad chapter. Our today's webinar is on precise cooling with CCU unit to meet our high sensible load by Mr. Sandeep Gupta sir. Mr. Sandeep Gupta did his bachelor in mechanical engineering from MS Ramaiah Institute of Technology Bangalore. He is having 12 years of experience in field of sales and marketing in HVAC solution like air cool, water cool, scroll, screw and centrifugal chiller for comfort application and precise air conditioning for critical and data center application. Currently, Mr. Sandeep Vasant is associated with Flex Group and also he is also an certified data center professional and ISRE member. Main key takeaway points of this webinar is introduction to CCU units, first steps of process in CCU, component in CCU, comparison between CCU and Comfort AC, variance in CCU, main case studies, data center efficiency best practice. Over to you, Sandeep sir. You can start, sir. Hello.
Venkatesh, thanks for that introduction. Firstly, before I start, I'll 1 minute. I'll just hope the presentation is visible.
Yes, sir.
Hope my audio also is clear.
Yes.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. A big thanks to ISRE Ahmedabad chapter for giving me this opportunity, and thanks all of you, all the members who are there listening part of this webinar. A big thanks to all of you. Hope all of you are doing safe and sound during the current situation. With that note, let's start. As I said, as Venkatesh said, the topic is precise cooling with close control units to meet your high sensible load. I am Sandeep Vasant. Apart from being a mechanical engineering, I'm a CDCP certified data center professional by EPIXL and a very active ISRE member. I handle sales and service for PAC for South and West region and marketing for all India. My contact numbers and mail ID is here. You can quickly make a note of it. With that note, key takeaways, as Venkatesh said, rightly said, introduction to closed control units. We will also look at psychometric definition just to quickly look at that. Five-step process in the closed control unit, components, what are there in CCU. Closed control units, vis-a-vis the comfort AC units, we will look at that. Couple of applications, we will touch on that. Variants in CCU, and case studies. You will look at textile, UPS. I've randomly picked up a couple of case studies and data center, because every time we say CCU, it's always data center, and data center means CCU. We'll look at that case study, and we will spend some time on data center efficiency best practice in terms of looking at how do we improve the efficiency in a data center with a CCU. So with that note, introduction to closed control unit. Before I tell you that, the concept of CCU actually started in 70s, 1970s, 60s, 70s, when IBM actually started their 370 mainframe computer. And during the 70s and 80s, the processor load density were doubling, and the computer machines would actually see a drastic increase in the heat with every hour, and comfort AC were actually struggling to meet this high demand of temperature and RH. And if you also remember, there was this computer class which actually kick-started in 90s, where there was a computer and there was an air conditioning room, and there were students front of the computer accessing one computer. So that is a quick history of where all the CCU actually started. So primarily a workstation had computer rooms, and comfort ACs were catering to that, and that was divided into data center, which had only computer server rack and the workstation. So basically the concept of CCU started by modification of the comfort AC. So closed control units, CCU, are a system designed to precisely control the temperature and humidity in the range of plus or minus 1, and RH in the range of plus or minus 5. So what is this? If you, let us say, if you take a temperature of, let's say I want 25, the CCU would ensure that we get a temperature of 24 or 26. That is what the plus or minus 1 says here. RH is, let's say, if the RH requirement is 50, plus or minus 5 would be 45 and 55. We will also look at the temperature and RH as we deep dive into the presentation. To meet critical 24/7 365 days high sensible cooling application. What are critical? Critical cooling are your server, network, UPS, battery room, machinery, textile, all these are critical. When I say high sensible is the increase in the temperature from the primarily from the machine. The CCU would also have advanced component and intelligent controller to monitor and operate. Advanced components would be a variable compressor, EC fan, sensors, green gas. Controller would be the brain of the equipment, which would integrate all the components, and you could also see the temperature, airflow, alarm, sequence, event log, BMS, and lots more. So various terminology, computer room air conditioning, as I said, primarily the concept started in cooling the computer room. Precision air conditioning, this is what we most of the time we refer to precision air conditioning. It is the same thing. High sensible unit perimeter cooling, because it is the bottom throw in a data center, you will have a false floor. It's also called high performance air conditioning unit because of the fact you have a lot of components which would actually give a high performance on the unit. Applications, high sensible critical cooling application, apart from data center, textile, industry, UPS, battery room, BFD, to name few and many more, wherever your application of cooling is critical and both high sensible in nature. So with that note, let's get into the next slide. Psychometric, I'm sure all of you are from the HVAC background. I'm sure you would know, be very familiar with the psychometric chart, but few important points I would wanted to highlight. Number one is the dry bulb temperature as measured by the ordinary thermometer. You can look at the temperatures here. Then RH, relative humidity, is the ratio of partial water pressure in air room conditioning by partial water pressure of air at saturation at the same temperature. So RH is very important as we get into the next slides. Temperature, dry bulb temperature is what we are referring to. Sensible heat is the increase in the temperature or decrease in the dry bulb temperature. Latent heat is the increase or decrease in the moisture content in the air, which is the phase change. Let's say there is a moisture airflow inside the room, and we are trying to remove the latent heat, which is the water which condenses at your unit, let it be an AHU or PAC, that is the latent heat what we're talking. So important takeaways here: dry bulb temperature, RH, sensible, and latent heat. As we get into the more slide, these are the important points you will have to keep in mind. Of course, there is also points like humidity, specific humidity, and moisture content, humidity ratio as well. So let's say what happens if the temperature and humidity levels are not precisely designed in a, let's say, a data center. Let's see what goes wrong if the temperature and humidity is not precisely designed. So number one, high or low temperature variations can alter the electrical and physical character. So we don't want the temperature to be extremely low or extremely high in a data center. That can fail, that can cause the failure of the equipment. Very high humidity, we don't want that to happen, especially in data center. Condensation can happen, thereby water droplets on the server, corrosion can take place, we don't want that to happen. Very low humidity can greatly increase the possibility of static electric discharge. So due to that, the hardware can also fail. So we don't want very low humidity as well. We will look at the numbers of RH and temperature in the coming slide, but you can just keep in the mind that we don't want extremely high, extremely low, or very high humidity can harm, and very low humidity can also harm in our data center. This is the classic case of a data center. So a CCU, we looked at what is CCU, psychometric definition, and we also looked at what would go wrong if the temperature RH are not maintained. In a CCU, there are 5-step process. Number one is cooling. Number two is heating. Number three is humidification. Number four is dehumidification. And number five, filtration, which all these are part and parcel of the CCU. So number one, cooling. What is cooling? So typical air conditioning cycle, removing the sensible or latent heat from the room by using the basic thermodynamic cycle. So any air conditioning, be it split, package, ductable, all this, the outcome is for cooling. So what does the cooling do? From a high temperature, let's say a 21 degree, it cools, it brings down the temperature to a 18 degree by a normal vapor compression cycle, air conditioning cycle. where you will have a evaporator, compressor, condenser, expansion valve. In a evaporator, you have a liquid vapor refrigerant which is evaporated. Compressed, the vapor refrigerant is further compressed to a high temperature. Condensed, the vapor refrigerant is condensed to liquid, and while you have the liquid refrigerant expands to the evaporator. And you can also look at the pressure enthalpy graph, which would vary as per the refrigerant, and a couple of certain set point temperature in terms of the precision AC. So typical cooling cycle in a CCU, which is there in any air conditioning cycle. Now this is new. Heating, humidification, dehumidification. Heating, what does the heater do? This is a picture of a heater. Adding the artificial sensible heat load into the room. As per the design, it is 20 to 30% of the total capacity as per the design. What does the heater do? From a low temperature, it brings to a high temperature. Let's say an example of 18 degree to a 21 degree. That's the process of heater. Humidification, you can see a humidifier here, where adding the moisture content into the room. As per design, it is 1.5 to 15 kg per hour, bringing the RH, low RH to a high RH, let's say example of 40% to a 50%. So the water which is injected into the humidifier, we should also keep a check on that. So there is a list and there is a parameter to keep a tap on that. Dehumidification is also part and parcel of the CCU. Basically, it is removing the moisture content into the room from the conditioned space. So you're doing the opposite side. From an high RH, you bring it to a low RH, 60% to a 50%. So all these are part and parcel of the CCU. Filtration, I think in the last, during the ongoing pandemic time, we have been always discussing on filtration of the COVID virus. So there is a filtration of MERV 6, 7, and 8 in the CCU, which is G4 filter of 10 micron. And there is also MERV 13, 14. Most of the time it is in the 10 micron because the air circulation happens in a closed loop, because the data center are in an enclosed space. There is no fresh air to be given. So most of the time it is in the 10 micron range. And all thanks to the ASHRAE norms, we have ASHRAE guidelines for data center, which clearly states ASHRAE recommends the data center to be kept clean as per ISO 8. ISO 8 also says that the fresh air can be roughly from 10 to 25 air changes per hour. And if you look at here, MERV 8, for the room air to be continuous filtered, you can use MERV 8. And if there is a fresh air which is entering the data center, MERV 11 or MERV 13 should be used. Apart from the data center, to meet the ISO standard, especially in data center, you can also look at the computational fluid dynamics in terms of understanding if there is any pockets where the viruses can accommodate, and ensuring that regular cleaning of the false floor is also to be done as per ASHRAE norms. And again, thanks to ISHRAE, we had an article which also talked on room air conditioning in terms of impeding the COVID virus. This is on the typical room air conditioning. The temperature to be set between this range. RH, we are always talking in CCU. RH is also now under discussion, and the RH to be maintained around this range in terms of impeding the virus. So this is a couple of details on the filtration. So 5-step process: cooling, heating, humidification, dehumidification, and filtration. So with that note, as I said, it is a complete box, complete package, all the process of cooling, heating, and humidification. Filtration is part. With the components, we look at cooling component, where you would have a compressor, can be fixed, variable compressor, inverter type compressor. There is a coil, valves can be thermostatic, electronic expansion valve. Filters, G4, we looked at filter. And gone are the days from R22, we have come to 407. Today we are also talking at R134A gas, where the GWP, global warming potential, and ozone depletion potential is also less. EC fan, axial fan, heaters, controllers, humidifier, all these are in a complete package in a box. You can look at the unit in the right hand side where all the components are seen. So with that, all these components and entire process cycle of cooling and the components, if you look at there is a principle. If you look at cube root law, typically if the units run at 100%, the power consumption would be at 100%, but all thanks to the process and the variable components like the EC fan, inverter compressor, the power consumption as you drop to part load, let's say 65%, the part load will be somewhere around 25. There is the benefit of operational cost. The power consumption at part load, as you drop from a 100% to 80, 90, the power consumption would be lesser, thereby your operational cost would also be less. So that's on the wrap of what is CCU, what are the components. Let's look at the comparison, a quick comparison of a CCU vis-a-vis the comfort AC. When I say comfort AC, it is comfort cooling of people split ductable package, VRF. So CCU would be very sensitive to the temperature and RH. It is primarily made for high sensible cooling application, critical cooling application, and to precisely control temperature and humidity. We looked at that. High SHR, we will talk on this. It is on 0.9 to 0.99. In the next slide, we will talk on detail on SHR. In the comfort AC, it is between 0.6 to 0.7. Airflow CFMs are very high, 500 to 600 or even more. Whereas vis-a-vis here, it is just 300 to 400. It is just a comparison of normal split AC. We looked at heater, humidifier, dehumidification, filtration, all part and parcel of the CCU. Here it is there, but it is as an optional, it's an add-on, or it can be a separate. So integration of the components would be a challenge at site. The CCUs are made for 24/7 critical application. Life is 10 to 15 years. This would be made for during summer, 8 to 12 hours maximum in a day of R to operate it. Advanced controls, and it's a complete package of all the components within the unit. Here it's an add-on. Very important point as the CCU started, if you also look at it, today we are looking at all high-rise building where the data center or the application of CCU would be in the 4th floor and the terrace would be somewhere in another 3 or 4 floors, or even the placement of the outdoor units is a challenge. So of late we are always talking on longer copper pipe. So that is actually possible with the CCU. It can go up to a maximum of 100 RMT with the R410A gas or other gas, but in a comfort AC there is a challenge. If I'm not wrong, it is close to 25 or 30 RMT per unit. This is a very good advantage what you also get in a CCU. So quick theoretical details and couple of technical points comparing the CCU vis-a-vis the comfort AC. So let's look at SHR. We spoke on SHR, sensible heat ratio. Total cooling is sensible plus latent cooling. Sensible heat ratio SHR is sensible cooling by the total cooling. So we looked at what is sensible heat, latent heat. Any technology room, the cooling load would only be sensible. Sensible would be increase in the temperature. Latent load would be less. So the closed control units are primarily designed for high sensible heat ratio, not for the latent. So as I said, SHR of a CCU is 0.9 to 0.95. Comfort AC is from 0.65 to 0.7. Thereby, if you are using a comfort AC in a high sensible application, you would require more 30 to 40% of higher capacity in order to meet the cooling load in the technology room. For an example, let's take an example of 10TR. 10TR precision AC, I'm taken an example of 0.99 SHR. It would give 9.9 TR of sensible load. Comfort AC, same 10TR 0.65, it would give 6.5 TR. That means you would require another 6 TR at 0.65 SHR to hit 3.9 TR. Why 6 TR? Because we would want 10 TR. As per the heat load, we would want 10 TR. So 6.5 TR plus the 3.9 TR would give me 10.4 TR. That means we would require 2 units of comfort AC in order to meet my sensible load at the application. The discussion not only stops at this level, even if you look at the capital cost, the humidifier, the dehumidifier, controllers, sequencers are not part and parcel of the CCU. It's all add-on items, so the capital cost would also increase. Also, the number of units, so X into 2, the capital cost would actually increase. And if you do a fairly math of a CCU versus the comfort AC, roughly the ROI would definitely be less than 1 year. Again, it depends upon which comfort AC you are comparing, but roughly it would be less than 1 year. So quick comparison, summary of the comparison: Precision AC SHR 0.9 to 0.95, Comfort AC 0.6 to 0.7, temperature control plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3. We have seen couple of Comfort AC or not, no control on that, or plus or minus 3. Humidity plus or minus 5, no control, it's an add-on, we talked on that. Operating hours 24/7, 365 days, it is for 2000 per annum. Air movement, very important, air movement 600 to 700 CFM per ton, whereas this is 300 to 400. Filter efficiency, we looked at filtration 95% efficiency and 65%. It would have a built-in redundancy within the PAC, CCU, and conventional it is not available. So this is a quick summary of CCU vis-a-vis a comfort AC. So let's look at, we looked at what is CCU, we looked at what are the different processes, we also looked at comparison. Let's look at the application. Yes, as I said, CCU are definitely used for data center. Post 2000, we see the CCU precision AC being used in variety of application. What application? High sensible critical load application. Yes, data center definitely it is used. Apart from that, clean rooms, manufacturers like LED, LCD screens, they are very much precise on the temperature and humidity. That's where the CCU would be the best bet. MRI CAT scan, they would, couple of manufacturers of the MRI scan clearly mentioned that the temperature should be in the range of 20 to 24. Printers, telecom rooms, textile rooms, control rooms, all these would require continuous cooling temperature. In some cases, humidity is not required, but majority, if you see, they would require precise control of temperature and ensuring cooling is there precisely for 24/7. With our experience, I have also seen a couple of temperature. Just a quick check on the temperature and RH. If you look at textile here, textile is quite clear that they want RH from 65%. Temperature and RH are varying in different application, but as per the experience, we have picked up a couple of temperature and RH on the different applications. So it clearly shows that cooling, temperature, and RH is very much important, and the best bet would be a CCU here. From application, let's look at the variants. Variants in CCU based on the cooling medium. When I say cooling medium, it is a refrigerant based or a water based, direct expansion, chilled water, and there is dual fluid. We'll look at images in the coming slide. Based on the airflow pattern, we will look at airflow. How is the airflow in CCU? Bottom flow, in floor, frontal throw, top throw, in row. We will look at these images. So basically, there are variety of options on the cooling medium and other variety of options on the airflow pattern as well on the CCU. So based on the cooling medium, direct expansion, there is an indoor unit and an outdoor unit. There is a copper pipe, typical split AC kind of concept, cooling cycle. There is a compressor. So option A, the compressor would be within the indoor unit. So if you are particular that the noise should be reduced, there is an option of placing the compressor in the outdoor units there. So let's say in an indoor unit, if the sound is around 60 to 70 dBA at 1 meter, the moment you place the outdoor in the compressor in the outdoor unit, there is a drop in the noise level. Apart from that, there are a variety of advantages in terms of servicing. You can directly look at get into the condenser and service the compressor rather than getting into the critical applications or application room like a data center, where due to the security reasons, entering of the staff would be an issue. So direct expansion, there is refrigerant based, and DX with free cooling. We will look at free cooling as well in detail in the next slide. Chilled water, it's called precision AHU unit, where the chiller is connected to the PAC unit. and the chiller would be connected. And thanks to the data from Technovio, where there is a survey done in South Asia market for data center cooling, we found that major of the direct expansion is given in different applications like textile, UPS room, battery room, or tool room. But if you see a look at large data center, hyperscale data center, it is primarily in the chilled water. So there is a drop on the DX. Majorly, it goes into the variety of other applications, whereas the chilled water is seen in the large data center. Next cooling medium is a dual fluid. We find dual fluid, a lot of projects of dual fluid. What is dual fluid? One circuit with DX, direct expansion, where we found in the previous slide, compressor or in the outdoor unit, direct expansion, or even connected to a chiller. So typical, let's say an IT park building would have a chiller catering for the comfort. The chiller would run, and thereby the precision AC would operate from 9 to 5, 9 to 6 during the office hours. And post office are where you get an added advantage of lower ambient. The condenser, the DX, can be operational. So dual fluid is also available in the CCU. Dual fluid chilled water, as I said, again, taking an example of IT building chiller, if there are two chillers, chiller A, let's say 712, chiller B, 10 and 15, both can be connected to the PAHO unit, CCU unit. Of course, either one of the above can be operational. Let's say if chiller A is down, the next chiller would be operational. Dual fluid along with free cooling is also available on the CCU. As I said, thanks to the data from Technovio, we have got a report of the data center cooling. As I said in the previous slide, we find a lot of chilled water type cooling in the large data center, because obviously the fact the chiller is there in the facility. And few energy efficient kind of optional item like a Celtec pad, which is primarily majorly seen in chiller, where the Celtec pad is kept on the condenser side. And let's say if the ambient is 45, there will be a drop of ambient close to 5 degree. So the ambient coming to the condenser, if it is very high ambient of 45 with the Celtec pad, the drop on the ambient to the condenser would be close to 5 degree. Thereby, the load on the compressor, the condenser fan would be less. Thereby, your operational cost would be less. Yes, when you use your Celtec pad, you would require water and a pump. But if you do a ROI and an energy analysis of the water consumption and the price paid for the water against the benefit or energy consumption of the unit, definitely there would be a good saving on this as well. So with that note, so we looked at cooling medium. What are the different types of cooling medium? We would look at airflow as well. Airflow, if you look at the concept, as I said, started with data center, the precision AC. So here you can look at an image of a bottom throw unit, where the precision AC would throw the cold air to the rack, cold air goes to the rack, and the hot air goes back to the unit. So in the rack, there are servers which are horizontally placed in the rack, and the cold air is taken into the server, and then the hot air is taken back on top of the unit. So typical photo of a bottom throw unit where the precision AC unit is placed, and the air throw goes from the bottom. It can be the fan can either be within the cabinet or extended below the false floor. These are the rack with the server where the cold air would go and pick up the cool the server, and the hot air being low intensity would naturally go back to the unit. So this is a typical bottom throw precision AC seen majorly in data center. Why? Because there is, as I said, the airflow of a server is placed horizontally. B, there is false floor, false ceiling, and the unit can be placed on the false floor. So natural airflow circulation, savings on the power on the blower and the compressor. No ducting, very rarely we see ducting because the static is quite high in terms of throwing the airflow. Flexibility of future expansion and quick completion of facility and ready to use for early use. So bottom throw primarily used in the data center kind of application. So one is we found that bottom throw is definitely required because cold air being high in density and hot air being low in density, it naturally comes on top of the unit. But a few very important design concepts what we will have to keep in mind when we are designing. The PAC unit has to be placed perpendicular to the hot air. We don't want short cycling. What is short cycling? We don't want the cold air coming back to the unit. Couple of design concept. If you look at, we would want required air quantity, required air 300 to 400 mm of required return air to the unit. False floor height depends upon the capacity of the unit, airflow of the unit, and the first rack to be placed at least at 2000 mm from the rack, from the precision AC, because the air throw from the cooling is quite high. So we want the first rack to be placed at least at a distance of 2000 mm. And for servicing of the PAC, most of the time the servicing happens at the front of the unit. We would require a sufficient space on the front of the unit. So with that note, we would look at frontal throw. From a bottom throw, we would look at frontal throw. So earlier the concept was bottom throw is the best, and then we would want false floor. But if you actually see with the frontal throw concept, we can eliminate the false floor. False floor would attract cost, and of course, if you're laying cables, you can go for a minimal false floor. But if there are sites without false floor, there is a frontal throw option where the unit can be directly placed on the slab. But very important to note that the unit placement with the cold aisle, hot aisle should be placed properly, or there can be a air loss issue or even short cycling issue. Top throw units. So a couple of pictures. So the bottom throw, frontal throw are primarily seen in the data center. The top throw concept, actually, when initially the precision AC concept started, as I said, the comfort AC units were used. So there was suspended ceiling and ductable units were used where the air throw was from the top of the unit. So with that concept, the precision AC was the initial first design of CCU was something like this. But as we understood the airflow of the server and rack, the bottom throw and the frontal throw design were designed, but top throw and the top throw unit are still, top throw flow is still existing, and we see top throw in other application like the textile, UPS room, and your VFD room, because there is no false floor and false ceiling. Some cases we find false ceiling, or if not, a ducting or a cleaner can be done. Or top throw, bottom return or a frontal return is also possible in a CCU. The bottom return, there will be a 360-degree airflow. Otherwise, the frontal would be just on the front of the unit, the return air. So next is on the airflow pattern, we will look at in-row. In-row is a concept which is a sleek precision AC unit which is kept in row between the neighboring racks, primarily only for data center kind of an application, where the unit is placed between the rack to cool the neighboring racks. It is used primarily for the data center kind of an application. So a couple of quick concepts of the airflow. Air velocity is the speed of the air in a given direction, meter per second. Volume flow rate is the amount of air passing in a given point. Fan power, what is the power consumption of the fan? Motor efficiency and fan power, and thereby you get the efficiency of the overall motor. This is a typical fan curve. As per the airflow diagram, we also can find out the static, what the fan is giving. There are two concepts. One is static pressure and the dynamic pressure. The static pressure is which acts equally in all direction, which maintains air movement against resistance. Dynamic pressure is only due to the speed of air movement, which is PD of 0.5 into rho into V square. Air density, standard air has an air density of 1.2 kg per meter cube, which is basically related to the air pressure and temperature. And as per DM, if you are aware, the colder the air, higher the air density, warmer the air, lower the air density. And we always talk on static. What is the static? the PAC or CCU would have internal static due to the components what we looked at in the previous slide, be it the filtration, the coil, there are static which happens within the unit. External static with the bottom throw at 50 Pascal is as per design, the number can go high as per the site and application. Top throw, because the static is as per design is quite high, because assuming the fact there is a plenum and a duct. Front end throw, these are the standard as per design static. The numbers can increase application and the depending upon the model selection. So couple of few pointers on the airflow and the static, which is a quite important point on the CCU. So from there, we look at a couple of case studies. I've picked a couple of few interesting case studies, which I'm sure it would connect with definitely all of you. Textile lab would have color lab, physical lab, wet wash lab. The physical lab, as per our experience, we found that the requirement is both temperature and RH, 65% RH and temperature. Not much of a concern on the temperature, but very much concern on the RH and CCU. So to meet this kind of precise control and high RH to precisely maintain all around the room, the best, in fact, we had sites where they were using comfort AC and they were literally struggling in terms of meeting the numbers. And the best bet, as we looked at different cycle, different components, the best configuration or the best solution to meet both demands would be the CCU. Yes, the textile labs are also operated 24/7, and meeting the temperature and humidity was a big challenge. But with the CCU, we find the customers are satisfied and happy with the solution. From there, we look at UPS and battery room. Always there has been a discussion that whether the comfort AC is the best or the precision AC is the best or package AC. One thing is for sure that what type of UPS room, whether it is a static UPS or a dynamic UPS, if it is a static UPS, definitely air conditioning or precision air conditioning is definitely required, because the static UPS would use inverters, rectifiers, so precision AC is definitely required. Again, if you look at battery rooms, if you look at seed lead acid or a valve regulated lead acid, that which is majorly used in data center, these type of batteries would definitely require a air conditioning solution. Precision AC lithium ion battery would also require, which is majorly used in data center. So depending upon the type of battery and the UPS, precision cooling and cooling temperature is very much important. We found temperature to be a concern rather than humidity, and UPS are operated 24/7, 365 days in a year. Again, it depends upon what type of application, but we have primarily seen a 24/7 kind of an application. Couple of challenges we also found is that limited space on the room, in the battery room and the UPS room. On the CCU, there is also a wall mounted CCU which can be plugged on the wall, or it can be wall mounted or a floor mounted, and these units would have all the components what we looked in the previous slide: heater, humidifier, EC fan, controller. But these are very compact units which should be placed on the wall, especially to cater such very compact rooms. From there, we look at data center. So every time we speak on data center, precision AC means data center. So what is data center? A data center would have, as I said, is a place where you would save all your critical information. The data center would have a rack and a server blades, all your data. Let's say you can imagine all of us have laptop, there is an hard disk which is there, which stores all of our information. Similarly, a data center, let's say huge companies, I'm sure most of you are there in these social media platform, all of the data are stored in the server which goes into the rack, and the data center is divided into different categories like server room, IT, telecom, hyperscale data center. I'm sure you have heard of in the last 1 month, lot of large data center coming up in India, hyperscale and server room. So what is the best bet solution in terms of meeting the temperature and humidity in terms of 24 bar 7 365 days? Yes, precision ACCC would be the best bet. You can look at the image where there is a false floor, false ceiling, where the airflow would go bottom and cool the server in the rack. So from there, we would also look at couple of data center best practice efficiency. I am majorly talking on the CCU. Of course, in a data center, there are a lot of other components where we can improve the efficiency, but majorly on the CCU, we would look at the type of the false floor, whether there is a false floor, or you would, if there is a false floor, you can look at bottom throw, whether there is a false ceiling, what type of servers, is it a blade server, high density rack, placement of rack, the type of PAC we looked at, chilled water type, DX type. If the IT building is having a chiller, you can look at a power unit. PAC orientation, placement of the PAC is very important. It has to be placed in the cold aisle. Redundancy factor, containment, free cooling. So a couple of quick important points to have a quick checklist while choosing a PAC in the data center. So number one, apart from doing this checklist, number one, as I said, the floor mounted bottom throw unit are majorly used in the data center because of the fact there is a false floor, false ceiling, and there is a, and of course the in-row cooling, which is also used as a supplement cooling. And we have seen in any most of the data center in 2000 or 2015 per rack was around 3-4 kilowatt, but as we speak the per rack density is shooting to 15-20 kilowatt. Thereby you will have to very precisely choose the type of PAC, whether it is in row or the bottom throw, frontal throw, because the heat load or heat density per rack is extremely high in a data center. Obviously, apart from doing the heat load check on the rack, also the heat load check on the room premises. So these are now. So number one, do a checklist of the PAC. Number two, floor mounted type, in row, and also look at the rack density. And very important is the containment. What is containment? We are containing the air. There can be 2A, cold air containment. There the cold air is contained within the, so these are all racks, and there is a cold air which comes through the supply grill. We are containing the cold air, or it can also be an hot air containment where we are containing the hot air. Yes, both are having its own advantages and disadvantages, but if you look at the hot air containment, yes, due to this extra plenum, there could be capital cost, slight increase on the capital cost. And if you look at a couple of units like in-row and so on and so forth, you would want containment to be placed, hotel containment especially to be placed. So containment is one best option in terms of bringing the load on the precision AC, because if there is no containment, the cold air would just be scattered and the PAC would be continuously operational. With the containment, what would happen is the load on the CCU would be less, thereby your operational cost would also be less. So it's a very important factor in terms of looking at the containment. Again, thanks to ASHRAE norms, the concept was that any normal concept of CCU or cooling is that when we use the cooling, if I as a person is feeling cold, then I am under the assumption that the data center and the server is also getting cold. But so we found a lot of data centers being the precision AC being operated at 12 degree, 15 degree, and the precision AC power consumption is going very high because of the fact that I have to feel cold rather than the server. Thanks to ASHRAE, there is a clear ASHRAE norms which says A1, A2, A3, and A4. The recommended temperature is from 18 to 27 degree at the server inlet temperature, at the server inlet rather than the room. So thanks to ASHRAE norm, there is a clear document which says this is the temperature which the server would require. In 2004, the norms were between 20 to 25, giving a weightage on reliability and uptime and then energy cost. But the latest document of ASHRAE 2011 and 15 clearly states 18 and 27 temperature at the server inlet. So with that, what happens is we will have to understand that the CC or the PAC are designed on the return air concept, not on the supply, on the return air concept. I have taken a quick case study of the selection of the CCU of a 130 kilovolt unit. So with the return air, so you can look at the delta T maintained on the PAC CCU and the delta T maintained on the rack should be very important. Higher the delta T, better. As an example, here it is 15. You can see 30 and 20 as the return and supply here. As the case study, most of the time it is in this parameter where the return air is in 25 degree. With the return air of 25 degree, the supply would be somewhere around 14. I've taken with the loss, I've taken 19, but you are supplying at 14 or even 15. ASHRAE norm says 18 to 27. This temperature is actually not required. If you look at it, the capacity would give 130, but the power consumption would be around 44. With all thanks to ASHRAE norms, if you increase or if you are within the bandwidth and the return air, if you look at the delta T increase in the return air, if you look at case A, return air of 30, the supply would be around 18 or 24 with the loss, but 18, which is well within the bandwidth, the power consumption would drop. Thereby, your operational cost would be less. So it's very important to look at the temperature and the return air temperature at the CCU unit. I have kept for both the examples the return air temperature, the model, the ambient same to understand the comparison. So we looked at delta T between the unit. So we looked at capacity, cooling capacity. Also very important is apart from cooling capacity, it's very important that we look at the airflow. We may get the required as per the heat load. We may say okay 15 TR, 30 TR. But what if there is no airflow or required CFM to the unit? So that's a issue. So with the formula of Q is equal to airflow into delta TCP power, if you look at the same case study of return air of 35, 30, 25 and 20, I have taken 4 case study. The delta T is 15 as per, as I said, maximum delta T, better the efficient. With the delta T of 15, you can look at the capacity. There is an increase in the capacity. There is a drop in the power consumption. And if you also look at it, the CFM per ton, if you actually design it well in the higher delta T, the CFM per ton can actually go down. You can actually require around 400 to 450 CFM per ton rather than 600, because most of the time it is in the 600 range. With high delta T, the CFM can also come down. So it's very important to look at the return air and the delta T while we are designing the CCU. So we looked at, as I said in the previous slide, the return air is very important. Quick comparison of a direct expansion with increase in the return air. It is very evident that the cooling capacity would increase and the power consumption of the compressor and the components would decrease. Similar is also observed in chilled water PAHO units. I have kept the chilled water temperature flat, but the return air is increasing, whereby the cooling capacity would definitely increase and there will be a drop on the power consumption. So with that concept, the concept is 18 to 27 is the bandwidth of the ASHRAE norms server inlet temperature, and the return air can go as high as 30 or even 35. So when we are looking at 30, 35, few of the cities in India, we can at certain months, the temperature drops at 25, 20, 15 or around 28. With that concept, the free cooling concept, which is directly taking the outside air via the CCU to the data center. This is one concept of the free cooling. Obviously, we will have to check on the type of filter, the outside air, where the location of data center is kept. We don't want, and proper control of temperature, humidity to be also ensured. So this is one concept is free cooling. Second free cooling concept is that there are 2 pipes. One is the direct expansion and there is a water pipe. where the water and ethylene glycol is circulated in a free cooling temperature up to a certain temperature. It is only free cooling with the dry cooler. After a certain temperature, up to a certain temperature, it goes into a mixed mode. Mixed mode is both the chilled water pipe. When I say chilled water pipe, it is just circulation of water not connected to the chiller. Then it goes into the DX mode. Advantage here is that mixed mode, most of the temperature we look at mixed mode, so thereby your operation cost would be less. And one more advantage is that this pipe can be connected to a dry cooler, or it's like a VRV where there is a one outdoor, multiple indoor. That can also be done with this free cooling with the water pipe connected to a single hybrid condenser or heat exchanger, which can be connected to multiple indoor units. So two concepts on the free cooling: A, direct passage of the outside air inside within the data center via the CCU. B, circulation of water and mix of glycol within the unit. There are two types, which is connected to the dry cooler, not the cooling tower chiller. It is a separate concept. And hybrid unit can be of single unit higher capacity catering to multiple indoor unit. So quick comparison, we looked at what is the free cooling. If you look at the free cooling kind of a unit, extremely low temperature to 29 degree ambient and above, obviously the indoor fan would be operational, and then the compressor kicks in at a certain temperature. The outside outdoor fan would slowly ramp up. Then the water pump, which is connected for the water pipe, would start operational. Annual operating hours. So if you look at the free cooling at up to a certain temperature, if the temperatures are on or below 12 degree, it can go at a free cooling, and up to a 27, it can still look at mixed mode, a combo of free cooling and the direct expansion. There would be a benefit of the lower power consumption on the components of fan and your compressor, thereby your operation cost would be less. And obviously after 27, it would be only in a DX mode. So with that note, we will look at, we keep hearing tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 data center. Tier 1 is basically the uptime is 99.67 percentage, annual downtime is 28.8 hours, whereas the rank 1, the best is tier 4 data center, where the annual downtime is just 26.3 minutes. There is n plus 1 and n plus n, which is directly related to the PAC. We will look at n plus 1 and what is n plus n in the next slide. So n plus n and n plus 1. To give you a easy example, you can look at you can see a 4-type engine in an aeroplane. So assuming that these three engines are working, this would be as a standby. This is the classic case of an n plus 1. If it is n plus n, it would be a similar copy paste of the equal equipment. Apart from that, let's say if you're also, we should also look at inbuilt redundancy. That means, let's say, a example of 40 TR. If you look at a 40 TR, we can directly give one big unit of 40 TR, but you will have issues of your inbuilt redundancy. And what if the unit goes down due to other reasons like controller failure or whatever reason, then the entire cooling is not available. So it's very much recommended that you look at inbuilt redundancy. So you can break up the 40 TR into 10 TR into 5, where 4 would be working, 1 would be standby, or also look at 20 TR into 3, where 2 would be working and 1 would be standby. So basically, it is a case of where you can also look at inbuilt redundancy. So number one, n plus 1, n plus n kind of configuration with respect to the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 data center, and also look at the inbuilt redundancy, so that in case in any of the unit fails, you would have other units to back it up. And very important unit point is the PUV, power usage effectiveness. When you look at the total overall power, yes, in the PAC or CCU, we look at COP, coefficient of performance. Obviously, we would want the efficiency, better efficiency while choosing the CCU above 3 as per the norms. When you look at overall PUV in a data center, specific to the data center, it is total facility power. What is facility power? It is the power drawn by the UPS, chiller, cooling, PAC units, CCU units divided by the IT equipment power. So a quick summary of the PUV, we would want the PUV to be somewhere around 1.5 to be claimed as the efficient, very efficient, or if it is very high, it is very efficient. So you will have to look at the PUV figures in terms of bringing the data center to an efficient bandwidth. Apart from PUV, there is data center infrastructure efficiency, which is 1 divided by PUV. And there are other terminology like the carbon usage effectiveness, water usage, which was started by Green Grid 2011, annual water consumptions, and a variety of other terminology. And very important is the PUV, water usage, and the carbon usage effectiveness in a data center. As in the server cooling as in terms of causing the global warming accounts to 23. So you will have to keep a check on the type of cooling, what is the type of cooling, what is the placement of the type of the PAC, containment, all those stuffs what we talked on, we will have to closely look at that, because cooling accounts to 23% in a data center, and it's also a cause for the global warming. So very important to keep a check on the PUV and other important parameters what we talked on. So a quick case study, this is a live data center where it was a pretty old data center which had a mix and match of old CCU, couple of comfort AC, where the power consumption drawn was very high. And we talked on the best practice efficiency, look at ASHRAE norms, containment, design checklist, look at the PUV, look at the COP levels. Once we implement all these important points, directly proportional and directly related to the CCU, which is, as I said, cooling interspecs to almost 23% in a data center. With following all these concepts, we found a good result where the energy consumption, power consumption was dropped depending upon the unit, and we saw a flat 52% energy drop. Thereby your PUV, your data center infrastructure efficiency, water usage efficiency was also dropped. So it's very important that we look at the data center efficiency in terms of designing the CCU. So with that note, I hope I covered most of the points on CCU comparison and application and data center. I spent some more time on data center. I hope it was very interactive, and thanks for all the members who are patiently listening. With that, I close the webinar. Again, a big thanks to ISRE Ahmedabad chapter and everyone who's patiently listening to the webinar.
Thank you so much for this wonderful webinar. Sir, there is one question. Hello.
Yes, Ventesh. Yes, Ventesh.
In AHU, we have 5 steps of CCU. And what is the difference between AHU and CCU? Can you explain, sir? It's basic.
I missed your last 2 points. Your call. You said 5 steps in CCU and
what is difference between AHU and CCU? You can see in question, sir. There is a block.
Okay. So basically, as I said, the CCU would have all these components, 5 steps: heater, humidification, filtration, all these part and parcel of the unit. Whereas if you compare with an AHU, as I said, AHU is you would have a fan, you would have a coil, but if you look at humidifier, it is an optional. It is designed as per the requirement. It is primarily an optional, and very important, as I said, the SHR. You will have to look at the type of application what you are catering to. The SHR of CCU is 0.9 to 0.95, 0.99. AHU is for comfort type of application. Yes, there is an advantage in AHU. The capacity airflows are very high. Statics can also would be very high. There is an advantage on the AHU. But AHU, as I said, are for large application, comfort type of application, pharma industry, mall application. CCU are more into the data center or kind of, let's say, a smaller kind of application where the capacity also gradient is also limited up to 30 TR, 40 TR max when compared to an AHU which can go higher.
Yes, thank you, sir. I will request you, those who are not a member, be a ISRA member. You will get much more technical stuff like technical blogs, general newspaper, webinars, etc. Also, ISRA Ahmedabad chapter is our on various social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Please subscribe and follow us to get more technical updates. Thank you, Sandeep sir, for this informative webinar. I will request Harshal sir to give vote of thanks.
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. It was really very nice seminar and give the good technical knowledge. I hope the attendees, all the attendees have enhanced their knowledge regarding this. And as Venkatesh has already told, those who are not a member of ISRE, please be a part of the ISRE member so that you can get regular update regarding this type of technical webinars being conducted. Thank you very much. Thank you.